the thing is, we no longer will return a string. Basically, we will return a HTML page whenever we are sending a request. The server will be rendering you a HTML page, right? So it's not just about a string, and this is a way, like, this is kind of a string which is a multi-line string you are returning as part of response to this endpoint, home endpoint. So if you see here, user is a dictionary with the key username and the value as guest, and you are returning this string. Now let me show that here. Yep. So it's not rendering as a string exactly. This gets interpreted by your browser and it's getting formatted. See, this title will be appearing here, home page, and that is it. And your body has this h1 tag with the user where I have defined it here. So user of username is going to be guest, and this is going to get substituted here. Right. So this is how, when this endpoint is hit, we are returning a multi-line string which is a HTML template, and that gets interpreted and rendered by the browser as a document. Any doubt till this point? Like, what happens when we hit this home? Here is where you give your HTML page. Is this point clear? Any doubts? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Try to unmute and say, because I'm not seeing the chat. So yeah.
Yeah, it's clear.
It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Now, do you think it is a better practice to do this way, where I have a Python function, view function here, and I'm having a HTML script here? So, do you think it is a better practice of writing HTML code or any type of code?
HTML maybe?
Yeah, HTML should be separate. Basically, whenever you're writing a code, that should be doing what you intended to do so. Here, this is a very simple Python file, and these are Python functions, which is basically rendering you this HTML. So it's not a good practice to have HTML snippets interleaved in the Python code. Like, you can do this, it's not wrong, but it would be better to have the templates separately. Like, whatever templates you are defining, it should be like separate from your actual function. This is called as like separation of concerns in code. Regarding the recording of the last session, I think it is shared in the group, so you can check it once. Yeah. So the template should be separate from your Python function. That's the reason we have to create a folder called templates. So by default, your Python app will look for the templates folder whenever you are trying to render something. This is not a good way, because your HTML page can be very big also, and you have to have that within these 3 single quote string, and that's not a good practice. So what we going to do is, we are going to create a HTML file inside this templates folder, and we are going to call that file from here. So that's how this dashboard route works, right? So if you see here index.html, here is this is what a clean HTML code is, right? So this is basically HTML, and if you go to this routes, you are just I'll explain you what is render template. You are just calling this index.html. Forget about this for some time, or else I can do this for here also. Right. So if you see here, um, I'm just calling this test.html from here, and let me go here. You can see, right? So whatever is defined inside this,
Hello.
yeah, any doubts?
The recording is happening. Okay. Ashwani, are you here? I guess. So recording is happening, Girish. Okay.
Yeah.
No issues.
Okay. So here, if you see this test HTML, it is located inside your templates folder, and this gets rendered. Basically, your Flask app by default will look for these templates inside the folder named as templates. If you want to change this, you have to change it in the app configurations.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Can you share the previous session link?
Yeah, it is already shared in the WhatsApp groups. I can share that at the end of the session. Right?
Okay.
Okay. So whenever you're calling this, it just go to this folder and it works. Say for example, if that folder does not exist, let's see what's happened. You can see, right? Jinja 2. I'll tell you what is Jinja 2 is. It just throws you template not found. So this templates folder has a list of template from which you can call this. If it is not present, it will throw you template not found error. So Jinja 2 is like a templating engine where you can write the HTML templates and that can be called from your Python functions. So template is like a blueprint, like it is like a HTML code and it gets called from the Python function. You can sometimes pass data to the template and make it rendered to your front end. Like you store a template in the backend, you're giving a request, and your server will add some data, or it's just an optional step whether a data can be added. In this template, I don't have any data, and once the data is processed, it will be returned to your client. So that's about templates. So Jinja 2 is like a templating engine that comes by default with the Flask app. Uh, is that clear till now? What is Jinja doing? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. Uh, yeah. So Pragati, like if you are confident with Python, like it would be easier to understand. Okay. Um, Now let's go to the next route. So this is basically rendering the template as such. So I can just name it as this.html, but I'm not going to do so. Let me remove these things and comment it. I don't want this test.html also. It's just an example. Okay. If you hit this dashboard endpoint, you can go to this index.html will be rendered. So if you see the templates, you have this index.html, and you can see there are this particular syntax, right? Within the curly brace, you have the user.username. And one more thing. Oh, I haven't added that. Okay, that's fine. Right. So this is basically a variable as per your Jinja template. This is like a HTML, and this particular styling, or I can't say it's styling, like this particular syntax is provided by Jinja, where this variable within this double curly brace, it's like a variable. This is a variable, and this will be replaced by what parameters you are passing. If you see the routes.py, you have this parameter, right? User, and it is a dictionary with the key username and value guessed. Here, if you see user.username, this will be replaced by what value you are passing. Is this point clear? So can someone tell me, like, what will happen if I hit this slash dashboard URL map? Like, what will be rendered in this index.html? Will it be hello user.username or something else? Any guesses?
Yes.
The dot username, that one.
Do
Hello.
you-
Uh,
yeah, hello. Will it be user.username or something else? Just see the code here.
It will print hello guest.
Yeah, it will print hello guest. Actually, this title is not required. You can remove
Okay.
this.
So it
And-
will take from here that username and it will print the guest.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
This is like a Jinja variable kind of thing. Whatever declared inside this double braces, those are like Jinja variables, and those will be replaced from the parameter you are sending here. So here, user is a dictionary, user.username is guest, and it should give you hello guest. Let's see what will happen. You see, right? The first one is basically your template followed by the parameters. I can give extraneous parameters also. And it is not going to complain anything. I can give extra parameters here. It's not going to affect. And to introduce this parameter, I have to give inside this one. Welcome to microblock. Instead of this, I'll replace. Right. Now let's see. Can anyone say where the dashboard is getting displayed now? The change I made. Now I made a change, right? Like where it is.
It's in that bar, search bar,
Yeah. Yes.
dashboard it is written.
No, not in the search bar. It's here. It's like the
Okay.
title of your web page dashboard. You can
Okay,
confirm
okay.
that. Yeah. By dashboards. See, it's dashboards here. Not
Now I can understand.
yeah. This is your URL map. This is what hit by this routes. These points, and the title is basically here. What is this? Right. These are your okay. As I mentioned earlier, these are your variables, and in case you are giving this mad exam, they can ask you any kind of questions with this. For example, what will happen if you have a variable test and I'm not passing any value? Nothing is going to happen, right? You see, hello world, and this is like by default it's taking a blank. This is getting ignored, right? Any doubts here? This point? Yeah, this is getting recorded, so you can access it later also. Right? If you don't pass anything for this particular variable, like it will give you a empty thing here.
So the test is written, so means what it has something, what it stores.
This stores nothing, so this is whatever inside this double braces will be treated like a variable by Jinja, and if you don't give any value to that variable, that itself will be completely ignored. By default it's taking an empty string, and
Like comment.
yeah, you can say it is a comment, but not exactly it is a comment, because Jinja offers one other way to give a comment. So I can tell you that also.
Means I mean that what that test variable does means what does it in take variable as what it is for used.
In this code, this is doing literally nothing. But if you want something there, you have to pass it here. See, title user variable, and same like I have to pass a test variable, and you can pass some string here, right? So now if you see there, this value gets rendered. It doesn't have any significance. I just added this test variable here for demonstration, so you can understand that, right? Even if you don't pass any value, your templating Jinja will ignore this, consider it as an empty string, and just render hello world. If you pass the value, it is going to give you this number or anything. Are you getting that point?
Yes, sir, understood.
Okay. And that is not exactly comment, because this is comment. You see, this is not rendered, and anything between curly brace hash will be considered as comment by Jinja. So if you want to give explicitly give a comment, you have to follow this. Otherwise, you have to do this, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Also, since Jinja is like a templating engine, it supports lot of functionalities. There are something called as filters also. What you're basically doing is you are adding a Python-like code within HTML. Can you recognize that? See, giving a comment, giving a variable, everything is like a Python-like code that is inside a HTML template. That's the support Jinja gives you. Are able to understand what Jinja exactly doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like a very bare minimum HTML template, but you are having a functions of a programming language like Python. Adding a comment. Not only that, I can do many things also. One example I can show you is I can pass an array here. What file we are dealing with? Yeah, right. Instead of test is this. I'll pass 1, 2, 3. Now let's see what's happening here. So this is an array, and this pipe symbol will act as a filter. Now, if you see, it's giving me 3. Test is an array, and this pipe symbol is a filter, and this is the name of the filter. So it is taking this test and giving you the length. Right? Is this clear?
Yeah.
Also, yeah. So from your exam point of view, they might ask some of these filters also. Also, you can see I can pass something like a TEST. And I can do string manipulation as well through filters. So I can give lower. Yeah, you can see these, some of the string operations are also possible. So try to explore the filters here and you can play with it. Since in the first project you are doing, like, you don't have access to front-end frameworks like JavaScript based frameworks, you can use the power of this templating engine to do such manipulations. Now, one other example is with this contact page. So if you see the contact.html, this is a bit complicated code. I'll come to it later. Okay. Let's see this post.html. Right. So user is a dictionary which is having a username as a key. Generally, username, password, those things will be storing in database, but I'll take the introduction to database in next section. So before that, this we can use inbuilt in-memory data structures like dictionary and list. So post is a list of dictionary. Now I'm rendering the post.html template. So go to your templates folder, search for post, and see this code. You are able to recognize these as variables, right? Anything in the double braces is a variable, right? Double curly braces,
Yeah.
right? And anything within a brace and hash is your comment. This one, curly brace and percentage, it's a code snippet, like a programming logic. So Jinja provides exactly all the features Python supports. So this is your conditional logic, if else command. So in Jinja you have to, this is not actually a Python code. It's like what are the features Jinja is supporting. So if you are starting with the if like this, you have to have end if to mark the end of it. And you can add the else statement here. So if I'm giving the title, like if some value exists for title, this statement becomes true and this template will be rendered. Otherwise, this template will be rendered. And you are closing this if. So let's go back to this. Now, what do you think will happen when I hit this post endpoint? So what will the title be? Whether it will be this line will be executed or this line will be executed.
I think first line.
Yeah. Everyone clear, right? Like here, if you go to this post, it will be post microblog and not welcome to microblog. I can go there. You see, it's post microblog. That's because I have passed the title here. In case I'm not passing this title, it will become welcome to microblog, right? This line gets executed. Is this conditional logic clear? Like you can use this anywhere, and to write this code, like to mention if it is like a logic you are building, you have to give it within a curly brace and a percentage. For variables, it is double curly brace. For comment, it is curly brace and hash. Let me fix this.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Now let's see the other things here. This is your conditional logic. Also, you can have a looping statement, as you can see in other programming languages like Python. This is just a variable, and this is a for loop. So you can have for post and post, which is a list. You can iterate through the list, which is a list of dictionary, and you can access each element of it and get post dot author dot username post dot body. Because if you see this routes, author is a dictionary, so it should be post dot author dot username, and post dot body will give you the string, right? So you can do multiple things with Jinja. Like here you can see, right? This is post.author.username because it is a dictionary, and this is a string. So you can have conditional logic, you can have a looping logic, and you can do multiple things like string manipulation, having a variable, those things in Jinja. So are the basic templating things clear? Any doubts till this point? Okay, so if there is no doubt, I can take one advanced concept in this, which is template inheritance. So I have shown you two things, right? So first we started with this test.html. I wrote this head title, and post is there. I wrote this head title. Index is there. I wrote this head title. So don't you think this is a repetition in the code? Like whatever I'm writing, I have to write these things again and again, right? So we have to avoid such duplications. We have a coding principle called as dry, which means don't repeat yourself. Hence, we should try to abstract these things. Like it's not exactly abstracting. Like we have to take these things out, write it somewhere as a base, and all other templates should be inherited from it. So you have to reuse this part of code everywhere within the other templates, and you can try to call this code over that. So what I'm doing is I will just remove that repeating code and put them under the base.html file. Okay, so if you for some time just ignore this. If you see this HTML head title, this will be part of all the templates you're creating, right? All the templates you're creating will be having the same title, this part of code snippet, and something inside this block will vary. Is that point clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that varying part, I can define them as a separate block. So here I am defining two blocks. One is called as the header block, and the other one is called as the content block. And this is like a base template where all other templates will be calling this base template. It kind of extend this base template and add its own header and content. So this is your a parent, and a child will be like extending this parent and replace the content of this blocks, right? So if you see the
Well, this base can be considered as like main homepage whenever we go to websites or something.
you can't consider that as a home page, right? Because even in the home page, you have like multiple sections that are varying, right? The data will be varied, but you can consider this as a skeleton, like just a page with a navigation bar that you can reuse for home page, contact page, about us page, like that. This is like a, what to say, like a skeleton or a blueprint which on top you can build the home, contact, about us. Is that clear?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. It's just a page with a navigation bar. You can simply extend, create new pages with respect to that page.
Yes, sir. That only in many of the pages we have that in the side corner there is written home, contact, or
Yeah.
specific. And those are given. So that is not called the home page.
No, no, that's not the homepage. Let's say take this website itself. Okay, see, this is your chapter one, and they give you something, and this is your chapter two, and they started modifying the contents here. So whatever chapter you are clicking, this until this section it's going to remain the same, right? These things will remain the same. Whatever chapter I'm clicking, right?
Okay, sir.
So
Understood.
these things you can put it as a template, and for all the chapters you can create a new template which basically extend the original template which is having these chapters, or this navigation bar also can be included in that template, and all the new chapters you are creating will inherit that template. So one example I can give you is in the code level, you can consider this contact page as I told you. So if you see, this is your first line. This contact page is not entirely your HTML page by itself. It will call this base.html. This will be rendered, right? In this base.html, I'm going to replace this header and this content blocks. So wherever there is this header block, that will be replaced with this one. For some time, I'll just comment this. Okay. So if you see this header block, I'm going here. See where is this header? Replace the content of this header block with whatever I have given here. So right now it is having only, this is a comment, just ignore it. This is style block, right? So that will be replacing the content within this header. So this is parent block gets overridden, like it will not be generated. In place of that, whatever you are defining in this child, that will be rendered. So that's the reason it is giving this is style block, and this is a H1 tag. Hence, it's giving like this kind of font. And if you see the content block, it go here. See where is this content is. Replace this with the code you are giving here. So it will give contact us. Feel free to reach out at anytime. Is this clear how it works? Is this point clear? How we inherit? Yeah. Okay. Now, if you see this one, I have a content inside the header block. Like this is namely, this is parent block. This is a content. But whenever I'm trying to use template inheritance, this is getting replaced. Sorry, the text here in the parent block is replaced by the text in the child block. But what if I want the content in the parent block also to be rendered? That's where the super keyword comes into play. So if you have this super keyword, first the content of the, whenever you are calling the super function, the content inside the parent block gets rendered first, which is h1. This is a parent block h1, and after that the content of the child template will be rendered. So now if you see here, you can see, right, this is parent block, this is child block. Is this point clear, like what super function do?
No.
Okay. If you see the base template, there you have this block defined, header block is defined. And inside that header block, you have a some contents over there. H1, this is parent block. When I give when I'm trying to inherit a template contact.html from that and defining a header block there, this content will basically replace your parent block header. So if I don't give this, this is replaced with whatever you are giving in the child. So in child, you are simply giving this is a child block and that will be rendered. Is this point clear? If you don't give super, I'm telling you.
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay. Now, if you are giving the super function, you are calling the super function, what it does is first it will render the content of the parent first. And if you see the parent has a content which is this is parent block, so first that will be rendered where the super is there, and after that the child content will be rendered. This is not a overwriting, but instead first parent gets executed followed by the child. Is this clear now? First parent gets called. In case parent, you can see this is a parent block. So this will be rendered. After that, the child will be there. It's not a overriding. Instead, parent execute first, followed by the child. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now tell me, like if I give this one here, will there be any change in the output? Can someone predict the output now?
I think it shows that this is child view.
Yeah, first it says this is child block. After that, the super is invoked. Then it go here and check for the content of the parent block, and then this is invoked. You see, it gets replaced. Right? See, first child block will be executing step by step. This is rendered. After that, you can see there is super. So it go to parent, search for the block name, and then execute the content within the parent. You can give multiple super things also. You see what is happening. Like whenever the parent super is there, it go to the parent block definition and then execute those lines. And then it comes back here, execute this. Then it again call super, again go back to parent, execute that. Is this clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
So this is about template inheritance. You have some advanced concepts, still advanced concepts are there. For example, defining functions in Jinja or defining macros. So I can cover it whenever that comes up. This is about routes, these things. Now let's go on to form. So form is basically a key value thing, you can see, right? Like it is where you will be submitting some of the user input and that will be processed and you will get some output, right? That's how actually a form works. So for some time ignore these things. It's not required now. And to create a form in
To comment all the lines in one go, what is the shortcut?
control or Windows plus forward slash. Just select them and just give a Windows forward slash or control forward slash. It should do.
Okay.
If you're using Mac, it is command slash. I think for Windows, it should be Windows slash or control
Yeah,
slash.
yeah. For Windows for control slash.
Okay. So in Flask, you have the extensions like Flask alone natively won't support you with the forms, but instead you have something called as WT forms, which is like a Python package. And in order to use that with Flask, Flask itself provide you an extension called as Flask WT forms. So you have to give this one pip install Flask WT forms. I have already installed it, hence I'm not doing it again. But if you do that, and if you do pip freeze and then see these things, you will be having this WT forms and Flask WTF. So WT forms is like it gives you more control to the form validation. When I say form validation, checking for the mandatory or required fields and checking the format of the date or checking passwords, those validation will be given inbuilt by WT forms. And it also do CSRF protection and internationalization. So what is CSRF protection is? CSRF basically stands for cross-site request forgery. So first I'll show you a form. What is the route name I gave? Test form, right? Right. So this is a form, right? Like a very simple form with the name, label, and this input text box. So you have an attacker, you can clone this form using same kind of link. You can clone this form, and while sending the sensitive informations right from the front end, you can also like a hacker can manipulate that. Those kind of things can happen, right, by duplicating this form also. So what the server does is, server will have some tokens just to validate if it is coming from an authentic client, and that control will be internally given by your Flask WT forms. So that is part of your Flask form, and that is internally handled. You need not be worried about that. So whenever you are sending a form, you will be sending a CSRF token also. So when you are sending a CSRF token, the server will first verify that, and if it proves to be a valid client, then only the server will process the form data you are submitting. Otherwise, it will simply fail. So you are understanding what the CSRF protection does. It's basically protecting your server from getting some data from a malicious client. So instead of getting some bad data from malicious client, it first verifies the authenticity of the client by that CSRF token, which is internally handled by Flask form. And once this thing proves to be valid, like a valid client, then only it does the processing. Is that clear? What is CSRF doing? Or
Protecting
should I explain it again? Okay, I'll try to explain it again. So you have this form, right? Uh, Now this CSRF basically protects your server. Now a hacker can simply clone this form, and he can send a request to our server, and then he can try to manipulate the server and get some sensitive information out of it. So the server should know whether the request is coming from a valid client or not, like an authentic client or not. For that, your Flask WT form internally creates a CSRF token. So whenever you are submitting a form, not only your form data, along with that, you have a hidden fields, which is the CSRF token that will be submitted to your server. And in the backend, the server will just validate it. You need not uh, define this function, it's just validating it. So it will check for the CSRF token, and if it claims that CSRF token is coming from an authentic client, then only that request will be processed. Otherwise, that request will be rejected. In this way, we can prevent a hacker sending a form data to our server. Is that clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And one other thing is internationalization. Internationalization means you can create the app in multiple languages also. It can easily translate into some other, when you're viewing, making this web app international. So if it is need to be viewed in Spanish or French, like those things can be internally handled by WT forms only. So for these reasons, we are using WT forms. And Flask, see, WT form is an external package. Flask is a framework, and the framework integrates with this WT form using Flask WTF extension. So first, what you need to do is you have to have some validators in place. Uh, you can create a data what you are going to collect. So there is a form. Simply, you can name it anyways. My form, and this kind of thing is like a extension in Python. So my form is basically inheriting your Flask form, and it is defining this name. So name is a string field, and this is the name, and there is a validation, which means this data is required. So if you see the string field, the name, this validator, everything is providing by your WT forms. You can simply call this one here and then have it. In case if you are not using this WT form, all of these things you need to write it manually. You have to do this ugly thing like if name is not none, then uh, then process the data. See, these things is basically removed with the help of this simple validator, which is provided by your WT forms only. If it is not present, you have to do this manual overhead operations and all to check for these tasks, right? So that is how it is. And if you see here, render template, you are rendering a form.html. So again, this is a template. You can go to form.html, and I am just extending it so we can just focus only on the content block. Now, if you see one other advantage of this template inheritance, I have used a contact. I have defined the content block to be for contact. Now in the form, I'm using the same content block, and this time it is for forms. So I'm just reusing this base template into this contact and forms. This is one of the advantage. Right. Now I'm defining a form tag in HTML. It is a post method. So you have two type of methods, right? One is post and other one is get. So generally form data, when you're submitting, it should be passed as a URL parameter. So if I guess I spoke about this in last session also, you have two types of parameters you can send. One is like a query params and other one is your URL parameter. So query param is what you are sending like this way. Like when you are sending this in the URL itself, you can simply have a question mark as your delimiter. Sorry, question mark as your delimiter, and then have it as name value things, right? So this is your query parameter. Whenever you use get method, all the data you are sending from here will be sent as your query params like this. But whenever you are using a post method, the data will be sent as a body param, like a URL params. That is hidden, like it will not be part of your URL, but instead it will be in the body of the URL. You can't see that. So post method deems to be safe. Whenever you are sending sensitive information, it is better to use the post method in forms. And you can simply have the form and form.name.label, form.name size, these things. Uh, I can explain you that. See, this is your form. This is your variable, and this variable is there in the base template. Till this point, it's clear, right? These two things are clear, right? What we are sending.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now coming to this form. This form is what we have defined in the form. This my form class, and here you are defining this name is like one of the field you are having in this form along with the validations and everything, and that is imported here like my forms, and that is passed as a variable to this template. Now if you see here, this one we can see later point in time. This variable form dot name, like form is basically like a dictionary, you can say form dot name dot label and form dot name size. This will create your form label and form input text box. You see, this name and input text box are created out of it. Is this clear how this name and label is there? You can simply define all the fields you want in this forms here. So be it name, be it one other thing like I can say city string field, city validation data required, and I can simply go to this form. I can add one more p tag here. Uh, I can just have this form.city.label, form.city.size. Now if you see city. Is this clear how I'm adding things to forms? I'm not doing any kind of validation in the template. All these validations are done here only. Restricting it to string, the label, the validation, everything is there in this form class. On this form class, I'm passing it to the template. And from this form template, I'm rendering those things using here, right? And this is just a submit button. Are these things clear?
One thing, this if I call here form dot city dot label,
Hmm.
then how it works?
If you see form, this is your label. This is your label.
Okay.
And all the see, this is one advantage of here. Like everything you're defining in this class, all the validation, then labels, everything, and the template is simply rendering what you are telling. So this is how exactly the thing should work. You shouldn't do anything here. If you remember, if we are doing it in HTML, you have to give something like input type is equal to text, those all those aspects here. But this Flask WT forms has abstracted everything out, and you can simply give these two lines and it works. And everything else is configured in your code here, forms class. Right? Is this point clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Um, Let us wind up the session with by submitting this form. So when you're trying to submit this form, it let us see what happened. Till now, I haven't explained this methods part, right? Like, let me erase this for some time. Now we have this form, we have this city. I'll give some data. Okay, first I'll try to submit it empty. Okay. Now you see, I'm getting this prompt. Please fill in these fields, right? Why this is occurring is because in forms I gave this validators as data required. So for name let that validation be there. For city I'm removing that validation. So for name I'm just giving hello. On city I'm not giving anything. Okay. Still these validations are in place. Maybe it's because of here form.html. Okay, I'll come to that later. I have to refer to this. Like I thought, like this should remove this validation, but I'll refer to that and let you know. But coming to this back now, let me submit this form by giving some data. So it says this method is not allowed, right? Can someone tell me like why this is happening? Any guesses? You can try to answer it based on the context we discussed in this session and the in this session only I explained at the start what are the default methods. If you can remember, I told you like there are three default methods associated with the URL endpoint. Can someone remember that? What are those methods? You can see this one also. Oh, sorry, I have to give exit. I'm sorry. Yeah. Can someone answer now? Like I have given you a hint here, actually. Why I'm getting this error when I try to submit this? Yeah, you can just take any guesses also. It's fine.
It should be get method.
Get method is here, right? It will be hitting this test form endpoint. Get method is here, but it says method not allowed. And if you see the forms, the form.html, what is the method I'm giving?
Post.
Yeah. So this post method is not part of this one, right? By default, you will be having only these three methods: get, options, and head. Since you don't have the post method, you will be getting 405 error. So you have to make the endpoint to accept your post method also. For that, you have a in this is called as decorator basically. You should pass a parameter here. Methods is equal to get and post. Now, if you see this Flask shell, so if you try to import the current app, and then if you see this URL map for it, you can see it is now supporting your post method. Now I can simply go to this. Whenever I'm giving in the browser just this endpoint, it is a get method. And when I'm submitting some data to it will become like a post method and it gets submitted. Right. You can see, right? This data post is getting submitted and this response status is 200. Initially it was 405 before doing that, which is method not allowed error, but now it is 200. Is this clear?
So it is submitted. Now if I want to see that submitted form.
Yeah, that's the reason I added this part of code. Let me. You see form submitted and your name is hello. That is, you can get the name like form.name.data, and this is Flash. Flash is a what to say? It's like some logging technique you can say, or just giving some information, and it just gives your name. So it says your name from form.name.data, uh, and then you can see that here. Is this clear?
Yeah.
I give hello 123. It says hello 123. So this form.validate on submit, what it does is, this is where the CSRF token verification comes. And if you see this form.html, I'm submitting this here. This hidden tag consist all the hidden tokens you have. Those will be submitted at the backend to the server. And server, upon doing this form.validate on submit, it goes here. And in the form, you have this name, and dot data will give you the value entered. And that is getting flashed on your screen using flash function, which is provided by Flask. Is this clear till now? Any doubts here? Okay. Uh, and one more thing I forgot to say was this CSRF token you are trying to generate, right? That completely depends on your app. So your app needs some configuration or some secret in order to generate that CSRF token internally. So whenever you are using some of the extensions, your app will expect some secret keys that will be configured. And for config, you have to use config.py. So in this config.py, you have to give that secret key. And this secret key, which you need not have this, you can simply use the key directly here. You will never guess. This is the name of the key. And this secret key will be configured. If you see this, there is init.py. And all the configuration done in this config.py will be associated with the app through this step. And with that secret key, your CSRF token will be generated and passed on to the server for verification, which will be verified by giving validate on submit. Where is that operation? This one, validate on submit. If the CSRF token is successfully validated, you will be getting this. If it is not validated, it will just simply return this render template, right? Yeah. Any doubts till now?
One thing not related to this session, but from the previous session, that to initiate or to create any app, we need to first create one folder, and inside that folder, all subfolders we need to define HTML and Python file, all these things.
Yeah. Templates, Python file, routes, you have to define it. Yeah.
And the name of the folder means naming convention should be like as you followed, or it can be anything.
For templates and static folder, it should be exactly what it is. Otherwise, you have to change that configuration. By default, Flask uses templates, and it is recommended to use the same name. If you want to change, you can change it in the app. Second. You have to change it here. You have to give it like template folder is equal to templates. This is your default, but you can simply name templates 123 and then put all your templates there. But if you don't give this, the default is template. You see, these templates and static are your defaults.
Okay.
Any other doubts?
So you will tell us that how to connect with the database in the backend
Yeah, yeah,
in coming session.
yeah. In coming session, we can do that.
And if I want, this thing you are running on the local system right
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
right? And as we see in that there is a home page and there are some links, and then we are going over some other pages. So that thing we can create, right?
yeah. You can.
Okay.
I will push this code in GitHub so you can take reference to this and you can create on your own. WhatsApp and session link. Second. Yeah, this is the last session recording, so you can check this. Regarding the number of sessions left, I planned one for DB. Then in the DB session itself, we can cover SQL alchemy, those concepts, and one final session just to wrap all the things up, like completing this basic app. So, like, I have two sessions in mind. If you have any doubts on particular topics or you want to discuss, like, we can increase the count also. Yeah. By covering the DB, I think you can start building the app. Like, I will not have anything much new to say. Maybe the other sessions will cover some extensions. Again, using the Flask WT forms or any other extension is completely up to your choice. Like IIT won't accept you, won't expect you to do this way only. But using the Flask inbuilt things, you can do lot more things in easier way. You have Flask login and those things also. Those are not mandatory, but I'll try to cover these sessions as much possible. But within the next two sessions, you can start building the app on your own. You won't stuck anywhere. The recordings of the session will be available in YouTube. I have shared one here, and the other things will be there in the Why Not Home channel only. Any other doubts? Uh, if there is no other doubts, then we can end the session here. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.